So, this idea of 2/3. And I said in my other video, Yom Kippur happens on the 10th day of the 7th month. Tabernacle starts on the 15th. It goes through, I'll put it down here, right? It goes from 15 to the 21st. And then there's a special extra 8th day on the 22nd of the 7th month. So one of the things I pointed out is how Yom Kippur, 10 over 15, is 2 over 3, right? Again, this idea of being, that's the tribulation, stands for the tribulation symbolically, right? It's the period, the bad period before you finally get to make it, the last third of the way. Tabernacles, which represents the second coming. All right. Now, this is very important. This is the 7th month. Tabernacles is the 7th feast. In the 7th month, it lasted for 7 days. And ended on the 21st, which is 7 times 3. You got all these 7s. But then on the 22nd of the 7th month, okay, 22nd of the 7th month, we have this special 8th day. And again, this 8th day of after a 7, it's also a picture of this 7,000 years, and the 8th day, the 8th millennium, or the 8th day, is really eternity. It's a start over, because day 8 is really day 1, right? Day 8. In another video, as I said, how the number 8 is associated with Jesus in many different ways. All right? It's about a new beginning here. Day 8 really becomes day 1 of eternity. All right? So we have this idea of the linear and the circular. In essence, right, like I said before, day 8 of creation was really the first day of the next week. So when we start a new week, a week is a cycle. It just keeps cycling around. But we don't go back in time and relive the same week over and over like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. It's circular, but it's also linear, right? It's the same thing with the seasons: spring, summer, fall, winter. It keeps circling around. It's a cycle. But the spring of 1993 wasn't the same as the spring of 2007. Different things happened. Okay, so this idea of circular and linear, why is this important? All right, so I talked about how this, Tabernacles, there's an extra 8th day on the 22nd, this cycle we're talking about here. In the 7th month, okay, do you know the relationship between the number 22 and the number 7? They're engaged to be married. No, that's not it. No, it is pi. 22 divided by 7 is pi to 2 decimal places. It is pi, right, to 2, and that sort of is a pi, I guess, there, to 2 decimal places, 3.14. And what is that number representing? Now, of course, the number goes on, the decimals go on forever, and they never in a repeated pattern. It's an irrational number. It's a good number to stand for eternity, going on forever. Okay. 3.14, boom. That is 22 over 7 is pi to 2 decimal places. But what is pi, that mathematical number? It is, I'm going to have to erase this. What it is by definition, pi by definition is the ratio between the circumference of a circle and its diameter. But another way of saying that is the relationship between the circular and the linear. What I was just talking about. Day 8 is also day 1. Circular and the linear. That's what pi is all about. Straight line with a diameter and the circumference with the circle. Okay, do you see how it ties in? And this number 22 then becomes very important. Another thing I want to talk about then is there's also this number tau. Tau is basically, well, it's not basically, it is 2 pi. It is 2 pi, right? So you have the tau. There are mathematicians and others who think that tau, using the number tau, which is the ratio of the circle to its radius, half the diameter, and it ends up being 2 pi, is actually the better number to use in mathematical calculations. There's a debate on it. Some people even say, you know, how people celebrate Pi Day on 3/14. Well, there's other people that say we should celebrate Tau Day on 6/28, June 28th, right, instead of March 14th. It's the better number. I happen to agree. It probably is the better number because 2 pies are better than 1. I'd rather have an apple and blueberry pie than just an apple pie, right? So 2 pie. But, okay. But this is very interesting. So this is the letter tau in the Greek. That is the symbol that is used for it. Just like the letter pi is used for 3.14 going forever and 6.28 going forever is tau. All right? Okay, tau in the Greek, it comes from the Phoenician alphabet. But guess what? The Phoenician alphabet was also a predecessor of the Hebrew alphabet. So the Greek and the Hebrew have a lot of similar letters, or the same letter. They basically have the same source. So there's also a tau in the Hebrew, right? Or a tav. It's also a tau. I won't write it out. Tau or tav. Basically the same letter. In the Greek, tau is the 19th letter of the Greek alphabet. But in Hebrew, it is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. I'm not going to draw the letter on here, but it is the last letter. But do you know what number that is? It's 22. Tau is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. But here's something else very interesting. The Hebrew letters were originally pictographs. They were symbolic drawings to represent objects of certain things. For example, the Hebrew letter Dalet, the 4th letter, its original pictograph was a door, and its original symbol was representing a door. Okay? And over time it changed and became a letter. And when Jesus was dying on the cross, he quoted a psalm. He quoted the first line of a psalm. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? He spoke it in Aramaic. The spoken language, Hebrew, would have been the written religious language. But he quoted that psalm, the beginning. Do you know what psalm number that is? It was Psalm 22. Psalm 22, which just happens to be the 22nd letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which just happens to be a cross as its pictograph. And 22 is also related to pi, because it's 22 over 7, right? And we have this 22nd day of Tabernacles. And of course, tau is 2 pi. It's just 2 times this, right? It's 2 pi. It's 44 over 7, right? All right, so I said Jesus was before the timeline and at the beginning of day 1, right? And Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega. So he would be Alpha here, right? He'd be Omega here. He comes back on the 7th day, right? Forgive my Omega, it's not great. And he ushers us in then to eternity after that. So he's associated with day 7 and 8 there, day 0 and 1 here. He's the Alpha. He is the Omega. Jesus said that about himself in the book of Revelation twice. Okay? So he's at the beginning here of the 0, and then he comes back after 6,000 years. The Omega. Talking about his second coming. He's coming back. But we also talked about Jesus was born on the 4th day, but at the very end, so it would be 4,000 years, because 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, so it would be 4,000 years. Out of 6,000, we said that was 2 out of 3. He came 2/3 of the way for the first coming, and the last third he returns for his second coming. We talked about that. So if you wanted to pick a letter of the Greek alphabet to represent Jesus coming 2/3 of the way of this 6,000 years, you would want to pick the letter that is 2/3 of the way to the end, right? Well, Omega is the last letter, so it's the 24th letter of the Greek alphabet and the last one. So to find the 2/3, you would just, you have to times it by 8, because 3 times 8 is 24, so 2 times 8 is 16. So 16th letter of the Greek alphabet would be the one that is 2/3 of the way. Do you know what letter of the Greek alphabet the 16th letter is? It's pi. Pi. So you could call Jesus the Alpha, the Pi, and the Omega. All right? I think that's pretty cool. Thank you.